wrapping up on SportsBit Betting Insight today. We love Mondays here. Deep dive now, college football. That's how we do it on Monday. Play of the day coming up. We've been on fire. Revenge of the Road Shock. How about this, Teddy? It depends what the professionals did, but this was a lot of road teams took money and they covered.
Oh, they didn't just cover. They killed them. Look, Notre Dame killed Boston College. Iowa State killed Akron. Okie State against Pitt. And we'll talk about this one again when it comes to bad results for the house. North Carolina over Old Dominion. Virginia Tech blows out ECU. BYU gets annihilated again. Oregon all over Wyoming. Clemson winning big at Louisville. And let's not forget, Purdue was an underdog. That line may go down as 2017's worst. They were plus 7.5 at Missouri, a game that they won. And, of course, the Oklahoma State, it opened 10, closed 11. That was as high as 14.5 before some late wise guy buyback. So we're talking about road favorites parlayed with the over. They're cashing again and again. That's usually not a good result for sports books, both here in Las Vegas and offshore. But what do we call it? Revenge of the Road Chalk. Pretty good weekend for favorites in college football.
Here's a bad beat. Lafayette was ahead in the third quarter at A&M, catching 24, and a horrible push in that one as A&M got things going and Lafayette couldn't score in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, really tough beat if you had La plus the points of Raging Cajuns. As you mentioned, they led 21-14 at the break, and it's not like Texas A&M's offense really got going in the second half. I cashed a ticket on the over in that ballgame. I was lucky to do so. There was a pick six. There was one guy who broke like 4 tackles and then sprinted for the final TD for A&M. You have the Raging Cajuns. That's tough. Plus 24, you get a push in a game that you're leading by a touchdown at halftime. It happens. My condolences.
Here's some bad bets. Friday night, Temple took money, 10.5 up to 14.5. They finally bet against UMass and they lost. They can't figure out UMass, who took money in the first 3 weeks. Temple won 29-21. Look at this. The added extra game insanity. Charlotte opened 1, got as high as 14 against NCAAF. They lost 35-31. 13, 14-point move, and they lost the game.
Yeah, but okay, let's be real careful when we're talking about these added board games. All right, because I went and tracked the line movement on this, because obviously it's a big move. This might have been one better, literally. You look at Penny. Penny went from 1.5 to 3, then from 3 to 6, 6.5, then 7, then 7.5, then 10, then 13. You're talking about much lower limits, and you're not talking about going through any of the medium numbers. They're just, boom, moving from one key to the next. They get a limit bet, boom, then move it to the next key number. Still, whatever group or groups bet the crap out of Charlotte got that game completely wrong. Not as close as the final score indicated, but that's not as bad as the people that were betting Nevada. The Wolfpack were minus 34. They lost outright at home to Idaho State. They were never even in the game. They were down 23-7 at halftime. But don't think for a minute that added board lines are the moral equivalent of regular board lines. They're not. And they bookmakers take much lower limits and they move the numbers much quicker because the only ones who bet these are the wise guys.
Yep, still a good number, though. And again, one of the biggest upsets in college football history. We had 3 in the first month of the season as Nevada goes down as a huge favorite. Central Michigan was a sexy pick and an upset pick. They opened 11, closed 8.5, lost to Syracuse 41-17. Bama took money, 28.5 up to 31. Colorado State hung in there and lost 41-23. This is a bonanza for the books Saturday night. What a job Justin Wilcox is doing. Cal couldn't stop a nosebleed under Sonny Dykes. They're 3-0. Pick 6, bringing the house every play. Old Miss went from 3.5 to 7. Cal beat them 27-16. They're 3-0 with USC coming to town Saturday.
They sure are. All right, Chippewas, Central Michigan at Syracuse. Cluster injuries at wide receiver for Central. Watch that moving forward. It certainly doomed them in the second half against the Orange. What do we have for Alabama now? 2 straight lethargic non-covers by the Crimson Tide. They're kind of treating their schedule the way a pro team would. They're pacing themselves. Good showing for Colorado State in that one. And boy, that was a real big swing for the house. In the first half of that game, Cal looked like they were going to get blown out. Ole Miss up and down the field, making big plays, a couple of 70-yard TD receptions for the Rebels. In the second half, they looked tired, man, real tired. Book bonanza. Books cleaned up on this one. Bettors got burned as Ole Miss got the straight up loss. Cal wins by double figures after the late pick six.
And this isn't good for the books. Florida 4.5 up to 6.5. Little buyback back to 6. Bam, falls 6 on the Hail Mary. Tough. It looks like Florida's going to run them out. I'm not going to call it a bad beat because Florida was going to score to go up 20-3. They fumbled at the 1 yard line through the end zone, and then it got crazy with all the points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but when you're talking about bad result for the books, anytime you're landing in the middle in a big national TV game, that's a problem. Basically, everyone I talk, I won with Florida, -4, -4.5, -5, -5.5. You know, people I'm talking with Tennessee, I grabbed a little bit at 6.5 right before kick. I grabbed some 6.5. So, you know, when you're paying out both sides, that's a middle. And when it comes on a Hail Mary like that, where the defense doesn't even play it right, you know, oops, that's a bad loss for Butch Jones. That's a bad result for the books as Florida, Tennessee lands right in the middle.
Teddy, it's a frickin' epidemic. It happens every week. How about the SMU TCU game? SMU's going to have deleted half. A guy who's 5'11" caught the Hail Mary. 5 guys from SMU around him. Nobody jumped.
And that's a brutal beat if you had SMU money line first half. I saw some guys whining about it on Twitter. You know, and look, there's going to be bad beats first halves. You know, whenever you're shortening the amount of the competition, the lines are the results are likely to be closer to the number, and you're likely to have more bad beats. But that was certainly a tough one if you had SMU on the money line. Brutal with their inability to handle a Hail Mary pass to a 5'11" receiver.
Ridiculous. Bet for the books continues. This is never good. Friday night, ESPN, Arizona, 20 up to 26. UTEP might be the worst team in the country, 63-16. Remember, UTEP took money against Rice, who couldn't come. What was that, 62-7 against Stanford? And Rice beat UTEP 63-16. I think Arizona's awful, and UTEP can't even compete in that one. Air Force, you can't lay anything with Michigan. They can't move the ball on offense, and plus they have red zone issues. They were feisty. Air Force was in that game in the fourth quarter, plus 27 down to 23. Michigan 29-13.
Yeah, I mean, the Arizona UTEP game, a disaster for the books. I mean, it really was. When you have a late night standalone game with a really terrible team in it, like UTEP, you know where the money's going to come. It's going to come against that team. When that team doesn't cover and there's a 6-point line move and everyone gets the cash with ease, yeah, that's bad for the house. And boy, the Falcons money, I mean, it started early in the week and it did not stop. We highlighted it right here on SportsBet as one of the line movers. It kept coming to game day. You know, Michigan now 1 for 10 in red zone execution. They've only scored 1 touchdown in 10 tries in the red zone. That's worst in the country. 0 of 4 against Air Force. You know, the kicker, Quinn Nordine for the Falcons, 11 of 13 on field goals this season, 9 PATs for 42 points. You don't want your kicker to be your leading scorer after 3 games.
Nope. More bad for the books. Carolina from 7-11. They thumped Old Dominion 53-23. For the first time, Nebraska lost to a MAC team. Northern Illinois plus 14 down to 10.5. They won 21-17. Clemson, Louisville's total 57.5 up to 61. Landed 68. And there was also plenty of steam in the Tulsa-Toledo game, which had a 7-point move. There was over 100 combined points scored in that one.
Yeah, the books lost bad on that one because the bettors were betting Tulsa plus the points, heavy money against Toledo in that contest. And obviously when you're scoring over 50 and you're catching points, you're likely to cash those tickets. And we saw heavy money on the over in that contest as well, which means dog and over parlays cashed, all the Tulsa money cashed, and the books did not enjoy a game that you wouldn't think is going to get a ton of action. That one got a ton of action. 2 fun non-Power 5 conference schools to watch.
How about this one? These 2 schools fired their defensive coordinators, and they got worse. Virginia Tech bet up from 22-27. They beat East Carolina 64-17. Virginia Tech plays Clemson in 2 weeks at home. What a game that'll be. Jackson, the freshman, what do you got? 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And oh man, Purdue plus 7.5 down to 5.5. Nobody at the game. Missouri at home loses 35-3. Brom can flat out coach. Purdue is back.
Oh, my God. Purdue. We're talking about ATS darlings of college football. We talked a lot about Oklahoma State and their 3-0 ATS start and how they've become the public team. You know, Purdue's not far behind. They have beat the closing line in their first 3 games under Jeff Brom by 76.5 points. And, of course, in those two games. You talked about it. East Carolina, Missouri, two teams that fired their defensive coordinators during the week. And yeah, didn't make a whole lot of difference. It wasn't necessarily the DC's fault for either squad.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.